Well, good afternoon. Let me start by thanking everybody for coming out today on this special day for the Oregon family. We really appreciate you being here. I would also like to acknowledge and thank President Gottfredson for his support throughout this process. And though he had to be out of town today, I know he shares in my enthusiasm for today's announcement. I also want to thank our fans, the coaches, our student athletes for their input, support, and patience as we navigated this important transition. It again reaffirmed the strength and bond of the Oregon family. And it's this bond which has propelled Oregon football to become one of the premier programs in the country. We're fortunate to have a world-class university, a passionate fan base, so many generous donors, state-of-the-art facilities, tremendous student athletes, coaches, and staff, and an impressive record of success. This belief was only further cemented during the search process as I received interest from an impressive list of coaches throughout the football world. We were looking for a coach who exemplifies excellence, leadership, and character, and who would embrace what our winning football culture is all about. We found that person in Mark Helfrich. Mark has 17 years of college coaching experience at the very highest levels, and he has been vitally important to our success here the past 4 years. He's a man devoted to his family, to his players, to his university, and community. And I'm excited to see Mark lead the Ducks to even greater heights. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce the new football coach at the University of Oregon, Mark Helfrich.
Thank you to Rob, and I would also echo his comments about President Gottfredson for giving me the opportunity of a lifetime. Also, a huge thank you to my family who's here, my wife Megan, and our son Max, and daughter Maggie, who are actually under control at the moment, which is good. Love you guys, and thank you so much for everything you've done throughout this whole process, as well as making my life complete. I'd also like to thank my parents, for making me the person I am today. My father passed away last year, and today would be a huge day for him. Somewhere he's very proud. I also want to thank Chip Kelly for bringing me here 4 years ago. A great friend of mine, a guy who I look forward to watching his career, a tremendous amount of success in Philadelphia, and just great man, taught me much more in the past 4 years than we could discuss here today. There are so many other reasons why today is special to me. Growing up in Oregon, raised about 2 hours from here, playing pickup football in Autzen before there was all this other stuff around Autzen Stadium, and dreaming of someday playing in Autzen Stadium. Luckily for Duck fans, I was never allowed to play in Autzen Stadium. Coach Brooks, Coach Blotti at that time made a very good evaluation. But a couple high school games in there, and that was the extent of that dream. But my dad went to school here, played here. My uncle played football here. My brother, his wife, so many other my mom, so many other family and friends that went to school here just make this home. Coaching at Oregon is the pinnacle for me. I kind of fell in love with the notion of becoming a coach when I played at Marshfield High School in Coos Bay. For Kent Weigel, and just seeing the influence that he had on thousands and thousands of young people, and that's something that I take with me to this day. It's an unbelievable honor to be around our players every day, and just teaching the value of hard work, the value of trying to control what you can control, and just having a great time doing is something that we really try to push. The relationships formed between coach and player, player to player, coach to coach, are something that I think are unmatched in any other business than athletics. It's kind of the ultimate reality TV for some people, but there's real lives, and that's means a ton to me. I think it's special. I just saw Brian Jackson over here somewhere, a guy from Hoover, Alabama, a guy from Coos Bay, Oregon, and a guy from LA can all get together and fight for the same goal. That's a neat deal to me. Because of the foundation laid by Rich Brooks, Mike Bellotti, Chip Kelly, the incredible support of Phil Knight and his family, Pat Kilkenny and his family, everybody in the Oregon athletic family, this place is known among the nation's elite for many reasons. There are so many other reasons why this is a special place to me. It's how we play. It's our fan support, again, exhibited by today. It's our It's our world-class facilities. It's the international reputation of this university. The other group that I need to single out here, and some of them are here today, is our coaching staff. Each one of those guys could be somewhere else. And to have their faith in me, that means more than I can express. And I thank those guys in a huge way. It's the former players of all ages and abilities. You guys are welcome around here anytime, and this is your program. Mostly, for me, like I said, it's about our student athletes. A couple of them are here, and I had an unbelievable meeting with those guys last night. We have a special group of guys, and their unshakable commitment to each other. Again, thank you, and that's, again, what makes this the best job in America. If I was a recruit and I had a chance to be one of those guys' teammates, I'm on board. I'd jump in, I'd ask where I sign, and get on the next flight. Going forward, we will attack in all phases. We will embrace innovation, as we will continue to do, and we're going to strive our best to win each and every day. To the great fans of this program and the university community, I promise you we will work as hard as we possibly can to make you proud. It's an honor for me to be chosen as the caretaker of Oregon football. It's a job certainly bigger than any one person, one player, or any team. Thank you again, and go Ducks.
Any questions, first of all, for Rob Mullins? And again, we'll go shortly then due to time constraints with Coach Helfrich.
Hey, Rob. How many interviews did you conduct? How many internal candidates were there? And going in, was Mark perhaps first among equals, if nothing else?
Well, we talked to an awful lot of people. We conducted 5 in-person interviews, but talked to several other people on the phone. As you might imagine, there was lots of calls. What was the second part of the question? Yeah, we had multiple internal candidates. I don't want to identify a number and get into that, but we had multiple internal candidates. You know, we've got a great staff. We got great student athletes, and a lot goes into producing the success that we've had. So naturally, we're going to have multiple internal candidates. Hey, Mark's a great coach. We got to visit with a lot of great coaches, and what we learned through this process reaffirmed exactly what we thought about Mark. So we went through a process because we felt it was important to do our due diligence, and everything kept pointing back to Mark Helfrich, and that's why we're happy to be here today announcing Mark.
Obviously, you said on Wednesday the timing was less than ideal. How much pressure did you feel in terms of to get this done quickly, and how much pressure did you feel from Salem with the new state law to kind of go through?
Well, I'm not a policymaker, but I work at an institution that has policies, and that was at the forefront of what we do. So I wouldn't say we feel any pressure. We also didn't feel any pressure from pace. Again, it was important. It was a factor because of where we are in the recruiting cycle, but it was not the factor. Number one for us is to have long-term success. So we were bound to find the right person. And yes, time is a factor, but it was not the leading factor.
You just sort of spoke to this with Adam, but how were you able to conduct the coaching search so quickly?
Well, these things you're always thinking about these things. This didn't start on Wednesday at 7:15 when I got the call. I mean, we were very aware a year ago that this was a possibility, very aware again shortly after the Fiesta Bowl that it was a possibility. So, the wheels are always spinning. You don't start the clock, when you get the official resignation. These things are always happening. So while, people want to say it took X number of days, these things, there's a process that starts long before that. So, we were very thorough. Again, internally, externally, I talked to a lot of people, NFL people, agents, scouts, ADs, other coaches. And so we gathered a lot of input. And fortunately for us, it all pointed to one person. And he happened to live right here in the same zip code.
Right here, Rob.
Hey, Tom.
You talked the other day about continuity, and you thought it was going to be one of the factors, but it wasn't going to be the only factor. In the end, how big did it end up being in your mind? And now that you've moved Mark up, how big in the overall picture do you see it being in regards to Oregon football history?
Oh, hey, Mark's a great football coach, and that's why he's named the head football coach today. I mean, as I said earlier, he exemplifies everything we want. Excellence, leadership, character. So that's why we're here. Continuity it was a bonus. The fact that he's got deep roots in Oregon is a bonus. But it was not the driving factor. We wanted an outstanding leader to continue the tradition of Oregon football, and that's why Mark Helfrich is the head coach today. But continuity has played a role in our success, and again, it is a nice bonus.
aside from the continuity, you kind of just touched on it. What specifically makes you think that Mark is the right guy to continue this run of success at Oregon?
Well, I mean, I've had the opportunity to observe Mark in so many settings in the past 2.5 years. The past 4 years, the tremendous success we've had, as Mark even said, that takes a lot of people. It's not one person. And so a lot of those folks are here today, whether it's players, assistant coaches. But I've had the good fortune to see Mark in a lot of different settings, whether it's, in the office, in the locker room, on the practice field, setting the tone for the process that makes this program successful. So, he has a clear vision. He's shown an ability to make difficult decisions. And that's what we want, somebody who really wants to be the caretaker of this program and make sure that we keep moving forward.
When was the last interview conducted, and when was the decision finalized?
The last in-person interview was conducted on Friday, and I would say the decision process started Friday nights when we really were getting after it.
Yes, you just mentioned seeing him make some tough decisions. Was there a moment in his time here, maybe in the past 4 years, a specific moment when you saw something in him where it clicked that he could be the head coach, that, yes, this would work down the road?
Yeah, I don't know that I can signify. So I've only been here 2.5 years, so first year and a half I can't count. But I don't think there was any one moment. In my role, again, this process doesn't start for any sport, not just football. When a visiting team comes here, we pay attention, how a team acts, how coaches act when they get off the bus, when they come into the arena, how they treat our facilities, how they treat our staff. Do the same. I watch a game differently than some people. I don't pay attention to everything that goes on between the lines. I pay attention to what happens outside the lines. How do coaches carry themselves? How do they handle themselves in the press conference? How are they around, the fans and the donors? So, I've been able to observe him in all those instances, and, that's why he's here today.
Getting paid by the question again.
Exactly. Jeez. Is his quota up, Dave? How many has he got?
Helf seems such like a different guy in temperament from Chip. How are they different leaders? Can you contrast their leadership styles?
Well, they're different personalities, they're different people, but again, our focus is on the process, and, they both have a very clear vision on what they want. They have very high standards, and again, they can sell that vision, and they can make the difficult decisions to make sure that we get to the end of that process. And that's what this is about, and that's why this culture is unique. The team meeting last night was outstanding, and without getting into the specifics, the energy from the student athletes and the clarity about who we are and where we're going just solidified that this is the exact right decision today.
The back of the room, Warren Williamson.
Rob, if you can you lay out the terms of the contract, years, and did Chip have any words of wisdom to you personally about Mark?
The term, I think we'll have copies of the contract for you. So it's a 5-year contract, $9 million, but I think we'll have copies of those later for you. What was this? Oh, did Chip have any words of wisdom? I haven't talked to Chip since he became the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, but obviously in the 2.5 years that we worked together, we had plenty of conversations about staff and why we're successful.
Yes, it looks like you've got a couple positions to fill now, possibly wide receiver coach, defensive line. How's that process going to go? And I'm sure it's a joint decision between you and Coach Helfrich now, but
he'd probably be the best person to answer that question.
Okay.
That's a great segue, too. Again, in the interest of time, if you have questions for Coach Helfrich, let's go. Mark? All right. Raise your hand, please. Back to Jerry Thompson, I guess.
Yes.
Same question.
Same question. Yes, that's a process we've already begun, and there's so many things at this time of year that are fluid in this business. There'll probably be another wave of hirings and potentially firings in the NFL following these next couple weeks, and that'll be announced here as soon as we get those things finalized.
Coach. Yeah. What's your response to the notion that Coach Kelly basically was calling all the offensive plays over the last 4 years?
My response to that notion would be that'd be true. You know, so much of our deal, so much of why we're effective is we don't worry about that stuff. We don't sit down and go, hey, Steve Greatwood was responsible for 47% of this idea, and somebody else was responsible for. This is about us and we and our. And as soon as we start worrying about that, you know, that kind of stuff, that's where we get off track. You know, I'm very comfortable calling plays. I think there's several guys on our staff that are very comfortable calling plays, and we're not worried about that. We're worried about the process and worried about how we go about our business, and all that other stuff will take care of itself.
Continuity seems to be a recurring theme that we've heard from Rob and from you. How much of what's going on last year and the years prior that you're familiar with Oregon football are you going to keep together going forward?
In terms of? Are you going to try to keep the whole thing together? Sure. For the most part, I mean, again, kind of going back to the question about our personality, we're different guys, and the things that have made this place special are this place and these people. And again, you look around and there's so many members of the athletic department. That's very humbling, the response that's gone on here. But our staff is outstanding. These guys, again, could be anywhere in the country almost, and they've chosen to be here with us and with these players. And again, I think that speaks volumes to what we're all about.
You kind of just touched on it, the personality difference between yourself and Chip. We see what we see in the media. How would you describe your difference, and how does that affect what you'll do as a head coach versus how Chip was as a head coach?
I have no idea. I think you might want to ask the players some of that stuff. I think we're going to, again, it's going to be the 99.2%. I bet 99.2% of the time we're in lockstep. You know, it's going to be that 0.8% where you go, oh, that's totally different. You know, I won't wear a visor. I'll eat more vegetables. You know, we're about a process. You know, we know the end game, and there's different coaches that have been successful that of all different shapes and sizes, personalities, temperaments, and it's about the players and the process.
What is the 0.08%? Other than the visor?
0.8%. Yeah. It's a little more. I don't know. That's for maybe you guys to decide and define.
And kind of going off that, are there any immediate changes you see that you're going to want to make this year? Any things you're going to want to change from years past as head coach?
I don't think there's anything that's going to be outwardly apparent. You know, I think any year you streamline stuff, whether it's how you recruit, how you run practice, just all of the kind of the littler things, the finer things that you refine your process. But I don't think there's going to be anything outwardly, hugely different. We're not going to get in the wishbone. We're not going to, be under center with 4 tight ends, and there's not going to be too much noticeably different, I don't think, to the layman.
Just to clarify, because you commented earlier, I think that the staff situation would kind of be finalized and you'd announce it later, but you also have mentioned a couple times here how guys could be other places, and which would seem to imply that a lot of guys are going to stick around.
I'm very much hoping that is the case. Yeah, what I meant is our staff is very talented. These guys have had a ton of opportunities throughout their careers, not only now, but in the past of having the opportunity to go other places, and they've chosen to stay here. And I think, again, it's a belief in this place. And again, the players, the Oregon brand, whatever you want to call it, is a powerful thing. It's a great place to live. It's a tremendous university to work for, administration, support, et cetera. That means a lot to me that those guys are willing to stick it out. What I meant by the process here is right now, we have 2 holes to fill, is what it looks like, and we will do our best to make that happen expeditiously.
Go ahead, Rob. Of the 2 holes?
Well, Jerry Azzanero has departed, and obviously Chip Kelly has departed. It's been in the news. Who?
When do you get fitted for your personalized hot tub?
We did not talk about that.
Mullins acknowledged you had a couple opportunities to interview for other head coaching jobs this season, earlier this offseason. Was that ever tempting for you? And, is that something over the last 4 years? I mean, what was obviously you're very emotional about this. What was the in particular kind of kept you here when, like you said, so many others have had opportunities as well.
I didn't say so many others, so many other coaches. Yeah, I love this place. Again, the biggest thing about this place that is special right now is our players. To be around our guys, I believe so much in them, it's really hard to convince a group of guys that age to not think about 8 months from now. It's to think about the next minute and the next hour and the next day, and to focus on what really matters. And these guys have again, just what I talked about earlier, just an unshakable commitment to that and to each other, and it's very special. My family's here, are happy here. My wife is happy here. I've learned very quickly that is the most important thing in all of this. No, but this is a special place to me. And we talked about a lifetime contract, was not able to get that done, but maybe we'll earn that here down the road.
You mentioned a difference in personalities. Will that extend to the play calling? Do you think you'll be maybe rolling the dice on fourth down as often, passing up on field goals when you're inside the 40, those kinds of things? Or do you think you'll be a little bit more conservative in those situations?
To be determined. We're going to try to, we're going to try to score. We're going to try to win in those situations, and more importantly, we're going to try to prepare great. And that's something I think that we're very similar. All those other situations are moments that get excruciatingly analyzed post fact. So, and I'm willing to take the beating on that very well.
Coach Helfrich here. Mark here in the back.
Okay.
What is the Mark Helfrich mission statement as you move forward now? Also, can you talk about Scott Frost as your offensive coordinator, maybe what his duties will be? And, of course, will you allow us into practice now?
That was 3 questions.
Limit to 1 question.
One question. I'll take the first one. Was my mission is to go recruiting as fast as possible. Our mission right now, the number one mission as far as our priorities is making sure our players feel good about everything. And again, we're going to surround them. We're going to lose a couple support staff members, a couple people that were very integral parts of these guys' lives, and we're going to hire great people. These guys deserve nothing less, and to make them feel comfortable with that, which I think they are, and we talked about that a little bit last night. That's kind of job one, take care of our guys on campus. The second thing is we have to go recruit. We're going to do that hopefully here shortly and finish up this class, not only the guys that we have committed, but a few other slots to fill.
Mark, in the back, I was just wondering if you've had a this is actually happening moment yet, if this is it or something like that, something that has told you that you are the guy.
I guess, yeah. There's been a couple of them that have been kind of bizarre. And just, again, I'm a pretty simple guy, and I love what I do. I love working with these guys, and it's bizarre that people would take my picture while I'm standing there drinking a bottle of water. You people have a problem. No, but this is exciting. I mean, this is awesome. I'm very excited to roll, and I'm a part of a very big operation, and I take that very seriously.
Mark, you've been with a lot of coaches in your career. How much has Chip Kelly, what he does, influenced you now that you're going to be a head coach?
A ton. He's been a huge influence on me. Again, that's one of those magic. I don't know the answer to that. I don't, if it's 42% or whatever. But I've had the pleasure of working with and for a ton of great people, going back to, like I talked about in high school, where I went to school, Southern Oregon. And again, you just take a little bit of everybody with you. You look at some people and you're like, okay, I do that a little bit differently, or man, I need to do that when I'm a head coach. But again, I've just kind of enjoyed every situation I've been in, worked hard, and hopefully we'll continue to do that.
Hey, Coach, will you hand the offensive play calling over to Scott, or will you do it?
We have a plan, and we will address that kind of probably after spring ball. There's again a lot of different things that go into that. There's kind of depends on who the other hires are. I'm very confident. Confident in a couple guys that again, the Oregon brand is so amazing in terms of the caliber of people that have been interested in coming here, and pretty confident in getting that done. I just don't want to, lay it out yet.
Yeah, the spring game, a segue into that, seemed to take a quantum leap up with the emphasis on the military. Was that mostly all Chip Kelly? If so, or do you plan to keep that going? And it's a two-part question. It's a specific thing, one thing about Chip Kelly that you took with you that is most prominent in your mind that you learned. You said you take some from everybody, but.
Okay, I will go in reverse order. The number one thing is in evaluation of players. We're not going to make exceptions for character. We want great people in our program. We have great people in our program, and that's what they and you deserve. And we're not going to compromise that. Then what was my next? Spring game. That was a departmental thing, certainly. Fully endorsed by Chip, and I would have every intention of continuing that. It was an incredible scene, those games leading up to and afterward was awesome. My uncle who played football here was also in the Navy, and that that he specifically called that out a couple times and how much that meant, and obviously we thank them for everything they've done.
In the back, Phil Milani.
You mentioned recruiting several times here. What is it that you say to a kid in his living room who thought maybe he was coming to Oregon to play for Chip?
He's coming to Oregon to be an Oregon Duck, and to and all that encompasses. We are 100% same philosophically. Everything that we're about. We want the same type of character kids. We're going to recruit character. We're going to recruit attitude. We're going to recruit toughness, and hopefully those guys are fast too.
I think Warren had touched
Vane
on this.
appreciates the fast guys.
Warren had touched on this, but I don't know if we got an answer. Is opening practices to the media and the fans something in your plans, talking about injuries? Obviously,
I've been constantly thinking about what would the media want. That's all I've been thinking about.
The fans, too. I mean, a lot of Chip took some flack from boosters and whatnot, and people wanted to get in there and see, are you going to open it at any point? Practices?
Yes.
You will?
Yeah. Again, so many of those things are out of out of our control. The way that we practice, the time that we practice, where we practice. You guys have been in there. There's not it's a safety thing for some, on some level. But we'll cross that bridge.
The duties of the head coach take on a lot of trappings of boosters, meetings with alumni, those kinds of things. What are your thoughts on that? How much of a distraction will that? I shouldn't say distraction, but how much time do you think that will consume of your daily schedule? That's part of the job. I grew up in this state, and I know what Oregon football and Oregon athletics mean to a guy in Coos Bay, Oregon, or a guy in Heppner or wherever, and that's a big part of it. I know that there's houses divided and all that stuff, and that's part of the deal. We want everybody involved, and I know that that's a huge part of it. I have a couple plans for how we can deal with. I know some of those not disgruntled, maybe unhappy groups of people, and we're going to do our best to make everybody feel involved.
We've got a couple more minutes for questions for Coach Helfrich. Over here, Chris.
Coach, have you talked to Coach Kelly since he left and since the announcement came? And if you have, has he expressed anything to you as far as well wishes or anything like that?
I have, and he has, and we have a great relationship. Chip will be a lifelong friend. Respect him a ton, and again, wish him absolutely nothing but the best.
You mentioned a recruiting philosophy in general, but have you talked to the guys that are committed or considering you guys right now, and what's been the reaction in general from that pool of players?
It's been great. It's been great. Again, there's so many things that we've talked about that make this place special and unique that have nothing to do with one person. And that's no disrespect to anybody. Everybody always, he's talking about, we're talking about this place, these people, these players. That's what makes this place special. And we're going to do everything we possibly can to keep it rolling.
Sean?
Coach, do you think the responsibility stress will change who you are as a person? Like the challenge of that notion?
My wife said that's not allowed to happen. No. Again, I think that's where you can't answer that question, 100% sincere, or maybe confidently, but we have such a great staff, such a great support staff that we're going to work together through all that stuff. And, there's a couple other decisions to be made. I'll have to care about special teams, right, Oz? Okay. No, that's a joke. I care about special teams all the time. But that's just part of it. That's part of all this is when I got back from recruiting last week, I was dealing with a totally different set of circumstances than if it wasn't, I was just the offensive coordinator or whatever.
Similar lines of questioning. There's all sorts of different new responsibilities for a head coach that you don't get as an assistant and as a coordinator. Are there certain responsibilities specifically that you're really looking forward to, and on the flip side, ones that you're kind of dreading now having to deal with? Have you thought about the added burden that is now on your shoulders that only goes on a head coach?
Sure. Again, the biggest thing that's I think simultaneously exciting and sometimes unnerving is just the players. Our kids have 105 brothers now. And again, I take that very seriously and love it. By the same token, we're going to have guys that have a certain level of expectation from a academic standpoint, behavioral standpoint, all that stuff that they will be held to. And this is obviously the best part of the job.
Just going to say, you missed your chance to profess.
Right. I was gonna start, but I didn't.
Okay, we have two more questions, and the first one's going to be Jerry Thompson.
I don't know if you've had time to think about this, and I haven't done my fact-checking too much, but you may be the first native Oregonian since Shai Huntington.
Shai, good man.
John Warren, 42. Okay.
John Warren.
How does... I was just going to add that, but... Don Reed, I don't think so. Anyway, again, how much does that mean to you? And maybe a little more emphasis on Oregon players. I know you're looking for character and talent first.
Yeah, we want the best possible player, and it's awesome. I mean, the outpouring of support from people that, in Coos County, where I didn't even know we had the internet or Facebook or any of that stuff, has been incredible. And yeah, it does mean, it's more to me than just a job or whatever. That, yeah, there's absolutely there's special meaning for that, or to that. But that can't sway our evaluations of bad quarterbacks.
Last question for Alex.
Mark, can you just go about here?
Hiding.
You're 17. You're playing quarterback at Marshfield High School. Can you just talk about if you'd gotten a chance to tell that kid, go back in time and talk to that kid and what he'd be able to be here today?
Play golf and be like Casey Martin would have been my advice for him. I would go back and tell him to, I've been the luckiest man in the world. I have zero, regrets or whatever the right word is for anything that I would change. I have a great family, a great wife, an incredible job. And, that's my philosophy is I try to just work for that every single day.
Thanks, Coach Helfrich.
Thank you.
We asked you this at the Fiesta Bowl, and everybody kind of gave the same answer. Now, how do you feel with Mark as the head coach and kind of what that means to your career, the offense, everything involved?
We're all definitely very excited. The meeting last night was awesome. Coach Helfrich came in and, he gathered us around, and, it was just a very exciting time. And, for myself, I'm very excited just to continue to learn from someone like him. And he's a very smart football intelligence. He has very smart football intelligence, and I'm, very excited to continue to learn from him.
Marcus, what do you think will be different next year compared to this last season?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. We're going to have to continue just to do what we do. We're going to come back tomorrow on Monday and work out and, just take it one day at a time. And, win the day and all that doesn't change for us. And, really we're just going to continue to live that way, continue to have that mentality, and look forward to tomorrow.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to ask Ricky a question. Are we going in order or anything? Okay. Obviously, Coach Azzanero going to the Eagles. What are your feelings as a defensive lineman about losing the coach?
We talked as a D-line group. Obviously, he was a great coach for us. He's brought us a long ways, and he's the one who got us to this point as a D-line group. It's going to be hard to adjust without him, but We haven't let his culture die, but he's taught us one thing he's always emphasized with us is don't forget who we are and how we got here. And that's one thing we got to keep going. Obviously, we are Oregon football, and how we got here was we won the day every day. And so that doesn't change for any of us, no matter what position.
It's for D'Anthony. D'Anthony, you obviously, Chip always talked about his relationship with you and how you guys were close. Are you missing him, and what's your relationship like with Mark, and are you confident that you can kind of continue the relationship you had with Chip now with your new head coach?
Just being in the meeting last night, I feel like our team has a great vibe, and I feel like we ready to go already. So we're just gonna wait to see get these spring game practices in, and just go on from there.
It seemed like Chip was kind of your individual position coach. What do you expect to happen now?
Probably just go back to Coach Cam and just work on some running back things and just have fun, just keep it all going and just staying focused and just stand as a team.
For Marcus Mariota, I think you can get the pace going a little faster. It's just kind of seemed to be lagging a little bit in that last game. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, but do you think you can actually even pick it up more than you have?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Whatever Coach Helfrich has been planning for us, I'm not too sure how much will change offensively, but definitely if we can continue our pace and push it even further, I mean that'd be very, very crucial for us.
Back to Jake Simmons.
Brian or D'Anthony, whoever wants to answer this, you guys seem really relaxed right now. Was it a relief for this to come down, that everything's going to stay kind of continuous?
Yeah, like I said, like everyone said, it was a great vibe in our meeting last night, and I feel like our teammates excited for Coach Helfrich to step up and learn from him and just keep everything dialed in and just stand focused and focus on what we got to do and just live in the moment.
I mean, when we first saw him come in, they said we're announcing our new head coach, Mark Helfrich. He walked up there, everybody gave him a standing ovation. I mean, I like him a lot. And it'd be fun for me to finally get coached by him because, I mean, just what I seen from him, he looks like a nice guy. And like now, I told him the first time I found out, I was like, I'll finally be able to hear you talk more. And he was like, I don't know if that's a good thing, but, I mean, I like him. I think that everybody else is all aboard. We're ready to be coached by him. He seems like a great guy, so we got something coming with us, this next coming season. I think he'll be a force.
Brian, back here. Stay right there. Obviously, you're on the defense, and so not a lot changes other than Az leaving. But just in terms of the overall program going forward, a lot of people have wondered, can they keep it going without Chip Kelly? Just your thoughts on that from the defensive side and then what you see from the offense.
I mean, what I've seen is that we got a lot of players coming back, so I mean, we were the ones that kept this thing rolling last year. Yeah, we have our coaches there, our play callers, but it's us out there who are performing these plays. And we pretty much have the same coaches coming back as position coaches. I mean, we got, slight changes, but I think everything's going to be pretty much the same. We're all ready to come out there and perform. I mean, these guys right here, you have nobody better to listen to. Like, if you're a newcomer or if you're an underclassman. Like, I feel like we'll be some of the best players that there are to listen to coming around. And we'll just be ready to perform. And we have a lot of people that are behind us ready to go out there and win games.
Any more questions for any of the student athletes?
Eric in the back.
We've got, Eric Helfrich in the back.
Brian, for you, you guys had talked about the other day not having a vote in this whole process, but knowing that Chip flirted with the NFL last year and now with him gone, is Mark the guy that you guys wanted all along?
I would say yes. I completely agree that that's who we wanted to step into that role because we feel like there probably wouldn't have been anybody better for that. He's been here with us. He understands the way that the program rolls. And I don't think there's a better way to keep this thing rolling than to get someone who was already in this with us from the beginning. He knows the process, he knows the struggle, he knows what we go through. So for him to just move on up on the ladder, like, we're ready for him to take us where we can go next, and I feel like this team's going to take off soon.
Marcus, you were nodding when Brian was saying that. Obviously, your relationship with Mark is closer than Brian. You hear him talk all the time. Was this what you wanted when Chip left?
Yeah, and I think, I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of these guys too and the team. I feel like, we all really wanted Coach Helfrich to get it. And, from the moment we've heard it last night, I think just the excitement and just the kind of vibe. I mean, D'Anthony was touching on it. Just the vibe of the team was, unreal. And, as a player, that makes me very excited. And like I said, I'm looking forward to continuing to learn from Coach Helfrich, and I'm really looking forward to getting this whole thing going.
Marcus, as far as play calling goes, how different is it going to be for you, I guess, to be getting the plays from him compared to Chip?
Honestly, I don't think there's going to be much change. Coach Kelly had a tendency to want to keep things going, and I think Coach Helfrich also feels that way. So, honestly, we're going to see on the first practice and see throughout, the next, spring practices. But honestly, I don't think there's going to be much change, and like I said, I'm looking forward to it.